Wow. So, guys, welcome to my first episode of Coffee with Friends. For those who are new to the channel, my name is Tyler, and I am starting this new conversation series called Coffee with Friends, which is pretty much where I sit with people who I admire, creators that I admire, and we just sit and we have like a conversation over some coffee, or just have like a friendly conversation about just creativity. And I have a fun one today because I have none other than my friend, my guy, the ultimate filmmaker, the Grammy nominated, the undisputed champion when it comes to filmmaking, Maurice Victor. How you feeling, my brother?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me on. That was a crazy intro. I
Man,
really am not all that.
credit to you, brother, because you have been doing the thing. For those who haven't known, like Maurice Victor, aka MV2 Creative, is a really dope filmmaker. But I will not be before you long. I'm gonna have my guy introduce himself. Maurice, tell us who you are, man. Tell us what you do, man.
Yeah, so I'm Maurice. I'm the owner of MV2 Creative. It's a video production company based in Charlotte, but we travel wherever. Honestly, New York feels like more of a base recently. But yeah, man, I have been doing this for almost a decade now. It started as like a high school passion, like that I just took a class, fell in love with video editing and that kind of thing. And from there did sports video and those I like chased that, path until, it came to an end. And then I went into like an agency route and then went back to sports until I finally decided like it was time to step out in faith and just launch this video production company and do it full time. So yeah, it's a little bit like that's the fast story of like just how I got to where I am now and what I do.
Dope, man. And I've seen your work from over the course of like I initially discovered you through the first Selah campaign that you did, and I was like, oh, like this guy, he got some dope skills. Like I like the way he's shooting his stuff. And then I also saw like the stuff that you did for the live recording that you shot, and I was like, this is like
Oh yeah.
amazing. And I was like, all right, I gotta follow this guy. I gotta see, like, especially as a man of color, like, if I'm being frank, like we don't get to see like that kind of aspect of like that point of view of like a guy that looks like me who's doing great things, who's doing amazing things, who's doing live recordings, who's doing short films, who's doing campaigns. So even like following you through that journey, I was like, all right, I gotta see what this guy is doing. So like for me, I want you to walk us through like when did you realize like creativity was like a part of your life? Like when did you feel like, all right, like this is what I want to be doing?
Yeah, I think that definitely I'm gonna give a two-part answer to this
Yeah.
because one, creativity as like a part of my life has definitely been kind of like my whole life. And it's just in ways that I didn't see. Recently, actually, literally just last week, I pulled up some YouTube videos, and I realized that I had been doing like photography and stuff ever since I was like a baby.
Wow.
I always like on family trips had a camera strapped around my neck because I carried around our family's like old school digital camera. And so I think like the creativity thing, and I was always making slideshows and like all this stuff in Windows Movie Maker and all this kind of like just crazy stuff. And I found one of my old slideshows. It's so crazy, but I forgot about that. And when I hit high school, it was kind of like that journey of what do I like to do? What do I want to be when I grow up? And my dad was very, very pushy on needing to know what my future looked like. And I just quite frankly didn't know until junior year of high school. I took a video production multimedia class, and it was basically one of those classes that people would take to chill and
Yeah.
have like a free credit and not really worry about school. And I was kind of like the nerd of the class. Like I was just really like tuned in, locked in. Me and the teacher would talk after class, before class. I was asking for all kind of tips and things like that. And through that class is where I developed my love for video editing. And that's where it started. It was teaching us how to use Premiere Pro, how to like edit, how to use shortcuts, things like that. And um, after a minute of just like learning those things and learning those skills, I realized like, hey, I think I might want to try and do this for like, my life. So got a camera before I went to college, and that was kind of like what started my whole journey of just like filmmaking and photography. It really started around that like junior year of high school, heading into college.
Yeah, no, that's amazing because it's like, I think everyone has that sentiment. It's like especially when you're like you want to do this one thing, and then it's like especially as family because I feel like a lot of times like our parents growing up they didn't know what like that wasn't a thing like going doing filmmaking and stuff like that. But like I feel like even when you finding that out at a semi young age, it like speaks volume to like kind of like the direction you know that you were going and like even the purpose of like your life. So like for me, like how do you balance? My question for you is like, as you're like from high school going to college to like even now in your like adult manhood, like how did like with starting off like in high school, college, and like now building and building to even now, like how do you find the balance between like commercial success and like just staying authentic to like your creative voice?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just to never really focus on the like response or, success that comes from like outward praise. I think kind of ever since I started, I've just kind of done what I felt like I enjoyed and what was inspiring to me. Obviously, you will find like inspiration, you'll find like other things to build from, but one of the things that I will never forget, like when I went to college doing sports videography, I saw a lot of people doing like, very cool transitions and like all this stuff that kind of comes and goes, like year in, year out. There's like a new trend, a new wave. And when I started, I was really bad. Like I'm gonna be honest, I was not good. But the one thing that I determined was I don't really like to do transitions, so I'm not going to. And like I didn't do too much. I did use like film burns and things like that, but for the most part, I would just cut from shot to shot and just try and get the best clips that I could. And so that kind of plays into the whole mindset of just do what you do and don't really focus on what others are doing or how they're doing their thing. Just like do your thing. And then also just focus on making art and not trying to get praise. A lot of art doesn't get praise. Like it doesn't get praised until, something significant happens. Maybe you die and people review the stuff you did. So I think more importantly than trying to like get praise from people for the things you do, just do your thing. And whether or not, so it obviously is nice. Everybody enjoys getting praise and get recognition. It's cool when stuff you make gets the admiration that it deserves. But there's a lot of things that I've made that maybe didn't pop off on Instagram or didn't, do well on YouTube, whatever it is, but it's still some of my like most proud work because it's representative of what I do. So I think just focus on what you do, don't focus on praise, keep grinding. That's pretty much it.
That's dope, and I think that like that's such an important part to keep in mind, especially as a creative, because like you have like all these amazing people like you said that do like these fancy transitions, like that do these like cool burns and like After Effects stuff. But I think like even you like how you kind of just said like there's like an importance of like I feel like there's even more of a power of like okay like yeah that's cool like but like the fancy transitions is cool, but like even like the storytelling could be as simple as like even just doing like a nice frame and like kind of like making a shot that's like tells more of a story versus like all right let me do like a cool whip pan and like all that stuff. And I feel like even in your work like I've noticed that like yeah you'll do like a film burn and stuff like that, but you're more so telling a story like even through like the campaigns and stuff like that. Like yeah like there are a couple of transitions and stuff like that, but like your story is pushing the way you're telling the story is pushing it even further, that like a fancy transition can't do. So like my thing for like what while we while staying trying to stay to your true creative voice and authentic self, like has there ever been a time where you kind of like felt like a challenge or like yeah more of like a challenge? Have you felt like a challenge that kind of hit like to stay to your creative voice?
Yeah. I mean, I would say like that kind of always is going to happen when you get into like the corporate world and you're making things for other people, other businesses, other brands. It can be hard to just do what you want, because you do have to like listen to the client, listen to the needs of whoever's hiring you. So I think it's kind of just infusing your creative spin on things whenever you can. Like there's a balance of like being who you are, but also meeting the demands of a client. challenge wise, I don't think there's been anything where there was like an overt, like, this really isn't me type of concept or video. I think that every piece that I've been a part of, I've done like the work to just allow myself to be me. And if there's maybe a client, I have been reached out to before by clients or people that I just don't feel like aligned with what I want to do and how I want to represent myself. And so there's been times where I've declined to do work for people, like where I'm just like, hey, like, I don't think our values align. I don't think this, makes sense for my business. And, I'll send them recommendations or, try and give them like a resource to go somewhere else. But yeah, nothing like too crazy. I usually just try to avoid it at all costs if I have a thought
That's
that it
actually,
might not work.
yeah, because I feel like, especially starting off, like a lot of us filmmakers, photographers, filmmakers, we fall into like that trap of like, all right, like we're getting started. Let's just take everything, right? Because we're like trying to get our
Yeah.
foot into the door. Like, like I'll shoot anything. I'll shoot a baby shower. I'll shoot all this. Like, even if like deep down, like you don't want to do it. So I would say like, what do you feel like is even more? What do you feel like even for those who are starting out? That's like, they know for a fact like I want to do feature films or I want to do short films or campaign work, like how to navigate through those because of course like you got spec work, you got all that stuff, but like for those who are like
Yeah.
starting out, like what would be your advice to them starting out, for those who are starting out, that's like picking up a camera and like, all right, I want to start telling stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's it's a very difficult world to be in because like you know that you need to pay your bills, you have to pay for your equipment, you have to, there's all these things that you have to do. So it's hard to balance doing what you want to do versus doing what you have to do. So my advice to people all the time is just say yes to opportunities. So when I started out, again, I started in sports videography,
Yeah.
but to get to what I wanted to do, which was more of like the fashion stuff and fitness and music, entertainment,
Right.
to get to those things, I just had to say yes to a lot of things that maybe didn't make all the way sense. I was just talking about this yesterday. The things I was shooting a few years ago was like random birthday parties, engagements, vow renewals, the most random like baby gender reveal announcements. Like it didn't make sense to see like what I'm making now versus what I was shooting then, but all of it helped me. Like I don't regret shooting any of that stuff. And I think a lot of people want to rush the process. I'll get questions like, how do I shoot commercials now? And the thing is, it's all going to happen in God's timing. So I think don't rush to the finish line. Just enjoy the process. Say yes to the things that you're in right now. There's going to be friends in your life or business partners, people you run into that need your specific skill set. And it might not be your favorite thing to do, but that thing is going to grow you in some way. Doing a wedding or a vow renewal or whatever is going to teach you how to move quickly and problem solve quickly.
Yeah.
Doing a gender reveal announcement teaches you how to use natural light to look good. You start to learn like where do I want to place people? How do I want to shoot this? What side should I be on? What's my like, you just learn things as you just do it. So my biggest advice, two pieces of advice is one, shoot as much as you can, whether that's business or just for fun / learning your camera. Just go out and shoot stuff and there's no way you won't get better. Just get the reps in. And then two, say yes to stuff. I used to be a very like, I said no to a lot of things, or I like to say no to opportunities, say no to like just things because I thought like, oh, well, no, I don't want to do that or that's not me. But really, just say yes and you never know what's going to bloom from that. Like I said, one of the biggest things that kind of moved me forward in my career in doing this was saying yes to driving my best friend to Atlanta so he could be a part of a live recording. And through that, I met all the people of Mav and whatnot, and that's where I started doing artist things and doing stuff in the music and entertainment industry. So if I didn't say yes to just driving someone, which had nothing to do with my camera, I brought it anyways, which goes to my point of shoot everything you can. But if I didn't say yes to that, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to get that job, get that internship, and kind of move forward in that space. So everything kind of is a door that leads to something else. So just say yes.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because like I felt like even like that aspect too, where you like I just did something that had nothing to do with my camera. Like even that saying yes to a simple drive to Atlanta kind of orchestrated all of this like internship with you shooting for Mav and stuff like that. So like and it's funny because it's like I feel like even with that like that kind of was God ordained because like even like now you like you said doing a live recording, even the stuff that you done recently with for Joe with the live recording like that from just like yeah it's like orchestrated this whole
I
entire.
mean, even that's a great example. Like you would think all the live recordings I was at with Mav, most of them I was either just there grabbing social content, doing BTS, or being like a camera operator. In my like latter time, like when I was kind of like on my way out with the agency, I was kind of just cam opping on these live recordings with another friend of mine who was directing. And you at that time, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is really important because one day I'm gonna be doing this. I was just there holding a camera or there talking with people, and it felt, I won't say it felt pointless, but I didn't see the future, sitting in front of me. But God knew, like, I'm gonna put you in all these live recordings so you see how they go. You're gonna be a cam op, you're gonna be behind the scenes, you're gonna move here, here, and here. And so when it's time for you to direct, all the different things. Because I'll tell you this, directing a live recording is a lot. It's very stressful. There's a lot of pieces. It's just a lot of things can go wrong. And so for my first one to be as successful as it was, things still went wrong, but for the most part, it was a pretty successful project. Like nothing major, flew off the rails.
Yeah.
And I think that's only a testament to God placing me in the right places at the right time and then letting me wait for a while and then being like, here, now you get it. Now go do your first one and do it in excellence. Not, if I did my first one and I did it poorly, I would probably never do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for the like opportunities that arose that led to this.
And it's yeah that like even with that like you saying it like I feel like you going into these like things because of course like every filmmaker every creative has like their kind of like goals that they want to do like all right like I want one day I want to be a director one day but like even like your yes and like even how your posture when you enter these rooms wasn't like on like a oh yeah I'm gonna enter this room and I'm gonna speak to this person because I know this person can get me here and I know that person knows this person and is gonna get me there like even like how you navigate through that is like I'm here because there's a need and I'm here because like I'm not trying to like I think in the Christian space we say like we're all part of the body right like you were the head you wasn't trying to be the arm and the toe like you were like trying to you knew what you were called to do and like you were like all right I'm gonna navigate through these spaces I'm gonna do what I gotta do and like even like God orchestrated and I was like all right you took everything you learned from those live recordings and then now even directing how successful this live recording was and like you just even like you said like I think people can see that right because even like when I was watching your breakdown like I was like oh no like this like I would have been freaking out right now if I directed my live recording because I was like yo what like as like even for me as someone who is like like I do live recordings in churches and like and do a lot of camera op stuff but even like how you said like how like God put you in these rooms and stuff like that to kind of glean and learn from these stuff like it's like I was just like I was like you was ministering to me because I was like even like as my church we finished our live recording recently like I was thinking I was like dang there was so much stuff we could have done better like I wish we could have did this and stuff like that but even when you were telling me I had a memory of like this live recording is a success to someone like of course like for me it's like oh I could have wished I did this I would wish we rented out Black Magic Ursas but it's like even with what we had and like what we steward like God still got the glory out of it and then also like it touched and it's moving people too and it is a success compared to like what we did the first time so I'm like even everything
but that's a great point right there compared to what you did the first time. I think a lot of times it's easy to just compare with outside people. So like I do a live recording and I go watch like, elevations and I'm like, man, compared to them, mine sucked. But that's not the point. The point is to compare it to yourself and to find ways to be excellent with what you've been given. So what's crazy that you brought up, this past week in church, the message was about being excellent. And the pastor was talking about the parable of the talents, where, one man was given, 5 or 3, whatever. One man was given 2, one man was given 1. And God gave the same reward to the person that had 5 and ended up with 10 as the person that he gave 2 and ended up with 4. Because it's not about how much or, how good or what you do for God. It's what you do with what you were given. So it's very easy to compare and be like, oh man, we didn't get Ursas, or, I didn't get to shoot on Alexa Minis, or whatever it is. And it's like, well, they get that. And it's like, well, if they're stewarding it well, then they're going to get the same reward as if I steward it well with, whatever Blackmagic cameras I have, or if I do it with all iPhones. It's not really about the quality or the, what you do. It's just being excellent with what you're given. So, I'm glad that you just said, like, we did better than what we did the first time. That's the whole point of everything, like, is just improve on what you've done instead of focusing on what others done. So for me, the next time I pick up a live recording job, I'm going to look at my first live recording and be like, what were the things that I didn't do well? Where can I lead better? What can I improve? Because that's the goal. I'm not going to look at other live recordings and then think, what don't I have? What am I not doing right? Just focus on you, focus on excellence. And that's just, that's the way that you just stay focused and you don't get distracted or discouraged because you're seeing other people at a different position or place than you.
Yeah, and then also too, like, while you were saying that too, is like thinking like elevation now is not elevation 5-10 years ago. Like if you look at a lot of their early stuff, like it doesn't look like as like nice and cinematic as it does now, and like that was like a process, and like just because like now we're seeing it, we're like, oh wow, like this looks really nice and very beautiful, doesn't mean like that's how it always was. And I think my goal and my hope for like a lot of filmmakers, especially in this age where it's like seems very like oversaturated, like everybody's a filmmaker, everybody's a photographer. It's like not follow their own lane, but also know that they're like God can use their voice just as he can use their voices, right? Because I feel like
and it's everybody's in a different position.
Yeah, exactly. And like for like even like I'll even use us as an example, right? Like I'm a filmmaker, you're a filmmaker, right? Like God has called you to an audience to like minister to, because I believe like with our gifts we use it to minister to people. But like God uses your gift to reach an audience, God uses my gift to reach an audience. Like God didn't say like, oh yeah, Maurice is more anointed than you are, because like no, it's like he is gonna use my gift and he's gonna use your gift for the better of his kingdom, because it's all for him anyway. Like
like he gets the glory regardless.
Give our gifts to uplift his word, and it's like man, like this conversation is so good.
Yeah, no, that's literally it. I think a lot of times, it's so funny because even this past video I posted, I just this morning woke up and checked YouTube, and I had a couple comments that were kind of like hater comments or whatever. And at the end of the day, I realized like it doesn't matter. Like they're not hating on me. That's just tactics of the enemy, because this is all giving God glory. There's no like fame in it for me, just because I could have 1 million followers and 1 million whatever, and that doesn't mean anything to God. He's no respecter of persons.
Yeah.
So he just sees you as a regular being. So like you just said, me and you are exactly the same. Like we're doing the same thing. We're doing it for God's glory. We just have different people that we're impacting and reaching. And it's not even about a number of people or whatever. It might be the people that you work with on your sets or in your crews that just need you in their life. And the people that I'm on sets with may need me, or I might need somebody on my sets to be ministering to me. It's all just to like you're placed somewhere, and just be faithful with what you've been given. Like it's not a competition. It's not like a measuring scale or anything like that. Oh, one more thing. I thought about this, and I'm going to say this to the camera. There's so many people out there that feel like they want to copy this person or reach this level, or, I'm not there, but this person's there. Why do they get these opportunities? And at the end of the day, stop comparing your life to somebody else's life. Stop scrolling Instagram, trying to find some validation of, is someone better than me or worse than me? I heard this from my pastor, Pastor Tyson at Vision Church in Charlotte. He said, you could scroll to the bottom of Instagram and you are always going to find somebody that's doing worse than you, and you're always going to find somebody that's doing better than you. So stop trying to find something to validate you. Just close the app, focus on your life, focus on your relationship with Jesus. Like there's no other things that you need to be focused on. Stop trying to compare. And just because somebody's doing something better than you, or they may seem like they're ahead of you, that doesn't mean anything. We're all on different timelines. So someone that's doing great right now might just be 5 years ahead of where God has you, and you have no idea. You just think that you haven't made it yet because you're 28 and you're getting near to being 30 and you feel like you haven't made it. That's not the point. God doesn't have a timeline on your life that works with your mind. He has his own timeline that's eternal. So just keep doing what you're doing, and in time, you're going to see what God has planned for you.
And that's beautiful.
All right, that's the end of my rant.
Like, no, and that's like, because I feel like people need to hear that, because, like, especially, like, I feel like people that are of our faith, right, like, that are filmmakers and stuff like that, they feel like they sometimes have to, like, forfeit, like, their faith, like, to reach these places. And I'm like, like, even you, like, you're an example of, like, I trusted God in all seasons of my life, and it opened all these opportunities for me. And it's like, even on that, like, cusp of, like, vision and impact, like, you as, like, your production company, like, what is the impact that you see yourself having, like, 10 years from now and later down the line?
Honestly, I think down the line, the impact, I don't even know. I've had recently thoughts of, launching a nonprofit that kind of goes along with the business and somehow just spreads the love of God in some related way. I still don't really know what that looks like. It's just like an early formation of like an idea and concept. But there's been thoughts of that. There's also, I've recently been thinking about making commercial pieces that aren't necessarily tied to a brand or a person or a thing, just like a commercial for Christianity. You know what I mean? Like just something about Jesus that's just in a commercial form that kind of captures people's attention. I've been seeing some pieces that just have inspired me, and I've been thinking, what if you just flip this and have somebody deliver a cool message that just needs to be shared? And maybe that is something attached to a brand. Maybe there's, some type of, organization that's like, hey, we want to put out a commercial that just proclaims Jesus in a cool way. But yeah, I think 10 years from now, that's part of the impact, along with just impacting the younger generation. So, where I was when I was in high school, I didn't really have a direction, really know where I wanted to go until I hit that class and like ran into someone else that was just as passionate in this. Now, I don't know if he was like a believer or anything, but he was just a passionate video person. And that allowed me to see past, basketball and all the things that I had in my mind and be like, wait, I could do this and be passionate about this. This is really cool. So I want to be that for other people. So yes, in 10 years, I definitely want to be doing it on like a larger scale. But right now I'm doing it on like a very small scale of like speaking at schools and going to camps and different like nonprofits and just investing in like the next generation of creators and photographers and things like that. They might not even know they're going to be it, but you can see, maybe in a room of 15 kids, you can see those two kids that have that spark in their eye when you're talking. And that means a lot to me, to just inspire those next generations.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because it's like, not even funny that you say that, but it's like, it reminds me of like a quote that like Peter McKinnon quoted. I hope I'm not quoting this incorrectly, but it was like, when you get to a certain point, it's your job to send the elevator back down, which is like pretty much like, as you're learning, as you're growing, right? You don't just stay on the fifth floor, right? Like, you have to send the elevator back down. The new people who are like coming into this field, it's our job to like kind of pour into them, and teach them, because I feel like a lot of times, like, us in this field, we feel kind of like we gotta gatekeep and like, all right, like, oh, I'm not gonna tell this person like how I got here, like, I'm not gonna, because no, I got here, I got here on my own accord, and like, I ain't gonna teach nobody, like, you gotta figure it out because I had to figure it out. But it's like, no, man, like, there are times like where I started out where I wish I had someone who like walked me through like all that stuff, and thankfully, like, shout out to one of my mentors, Tamika Jackson. Like, she helped, like, when during the pandemic, like, I discovered like I wanted to be a filmmaker, and like she kind of like brought me on with her to sets and stuff like that. She's like very well established. Like, she brought me on to sets with her. She taught me like, all right, like, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is pre-production, this, and I was like, why am I learning this? But like, even now, as I'm more seasoned in it, I'm like, and I have like, new friends, new people who come into our media team. that like are like have a fire for that, I don't be like, oh, I'm not gonna teach you. I have to learn this by myself. Like I actually get excited when people want to know this stuff because I'm like, all right, like this is how you do it. Like this is watch these people, study this, study that, and like I like and maybe it's just like the teacher in me, but it's like literally enjoy doing that. I feel like I see that too on you, like where it's like even with your like a lot of your film breakdowns, right? Like you don't have to show us how you did this stuff. Like you could have just been like, all right, well here's the finished product, but you like all right, like this happened, this was great. Like also this happened and this wasn't supposed to happen, but we pivoted, and like even stuff like that helps us
Yeah.
because it's like oh like no, they on sets and stuff like that. There does come like tribulations. It's not just like the finished product. So even with that, like it's
Yeah, I mean, that to me is super important and part of why I even started YouTube. Like I at first was very against it, and I follow like all those, YouTubers like the Peter McKinnons, the Dannys, all that stuff, and it's cool to see their things and be like, okay, well they're doing it, so I don't need to put my stuff out and have a
yeah.
platform, whatever, because but I talked to somebody and he was like, well, what's even your goal in posting stuff? Because I was posting like really randomly. I'll just make a video and put it out there on YouTube. And I didn't want to strategize or try and make my YouTube, consistent or whatever. And he was like, well, why not? And I was like, well, I don't really want a platform. I just want to like help one person. So I was kind of excusing being like non-strategic and just throwing stuff out there as to not wanting to reach a lot of people. And he was like, well, I know you want to reach one person that maybe needs to see your breakdown, but what if there's 500 people that need to see your breakdown, but you're not doing the work to reach those 500, and you could just shift your thumbnail or change your title and reach more people that might need to hear your voice and hear the good things and the bad things, like you just said, all that stuff. And that's what kind of shifted my mindset. And I started being like, wait, I need to take it a little more serious and put this stuff out there, because that's a completely free way for me to just share my knowledge with whoever. Like I don't have to do no digging and see like who needs help or start a mentorship program. It's just go to my YouTube channel and watch these videos. But down the line, I think definitely to add to that last question, I definitely would want to do more like actual mentorship with people like what you just mentioned, being brought on set and being like being taught all the things behind the scenes, because there's definitely people that need that. And I know when I was starting, I needed that. I'll shout out Dan, was a huge help. Dan Okarai, he's a director in Charlotte as well. My first roommate when I moved here, and he was super instrumental in just bringing me on stuff like the live recordings. I was cam mopping for him. He would bring me on as BTS for his music videos and all these type of productions where that's how I got film production experience, is because before that I didn't go to film school. So I didn't know what a director does or what a DP is or what's a first AC. All these different things were just foreign to me. And there's still a lot that I'm figuring out right now. Because, self-taught university,
Yeah.
but Dan was super instrumental in being like, hey, I'm going to bring you on as BTS consistently. And then kind of like, obviously when it was time for me to do my own thing, we did it, but he helped me learn the ropes of this thing. So that's definitely something I want to do more of, like having some kind of structured mentorship, one-on-one thing that we can really like help young people learn and grow in this industry. But yeah, that stuff is so useful.
Yeah, no, and it's amazing because like even with like you said, like someone came and he brought you on set. Because I feel like also too people feel like, and again this is not like for anyone that's listening. I'm not telling you don't go to school. Hello, but like even like you just said, like most of the stuff that you learned in filmmaking came from someone that took you under their wing, and you had like real life experience. Like so, like all right, like we gotta watch how we shepherd this question. But like, do you for people that are like even like students who are going into college, like do you feel like film school is necessary, or do you feel like real life learning YouTube Academy is more like the route that folks should go?
I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. So it depends on what you're trying to accomplish in your career. I think for certain, well, I'll start with this. I don't think film school is necessary, but I think it's very helpful if you're trying to do a very specific thing in the film industry. So if you want to be, I don't know, a gaffer or something just very highly technical that you just have to learn from the film school, then do it. But if you're just trying to like direct or camera operate or any of those things where you could just learn it on YouTube and figure it out, I recommend it. But my stance on school is always it's not super necessary, but if you want to make connections and have an easier route into your industry, school helps because there's a lot of film schools out there that have access to incredible equipment that you would never get your hands on in your first like 10, 15 years of filmmaking. No matter how good you get, you're probably not getting hands on like a Venice or an Ari Alexa. And so there's schools that allow you to do that. Like day one, you walk in there and they're like, hey, here, you can use this on your projects, and it allows you to learn.
Yeah.
And it also, so when you're in school, you're around other filmmakers, you're around like well-seasoned professionals in this field that are teaching you one, but also they're connecting you to their connections sometimes. Like they'll set you up with internships at major, studios that you would never be able to communicate with, or you might get on a project with such and such brand that you would have never talked to because your professor might have a connection with them. So I would say film school can be useful. Just be mindful of like, if you can't afford it, don't force it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and that's real because like even for me like I don't want to say I started my education late, but like when I was in high school, my mother's like she was like she didn't understand the filmmaker world, right? Like that wasn't a thing. So she was like,
Yeah.
like you can't think you gonna be taking pictures for the rest, like you gonna be taking pictures of film, like that's not a thing. But like even like because initially when I went to college, I did criminal law, which was, now I think about it, I was
Okay.
like that didn't make any sense. But like even through church, and I feel like someone has said this, but like or I think his name is Erwin McManus. He was saying like churches are the breeding ground for like the best filmmakers in the world. Like and I believe that because like even when I got into church, like I got most of my filmmaking experience from church, but then also realized I was like, all right, let me go to film school for a little bit and like figure out, like you said, like it teaches you like the technical stuff, like
Yeah.
you don't want to like that. Not saying that YouTube won't teach you, but like YouTube will teach you more of like the broader stuff. But like if you want to learn like
Yeah, there's very details.
like I did, like YouTube did teach me about a production Bible, but film school taught me about a production Bible. So it's like even with stuff like that, like I encourage people. Like
I don't even know what a production Bible is.
listen, hello, it's like pretty much just like every step to a pre-production, just in real designated, like like from start to finish, like contracts and all that stuff. But even with that, like I think like you said, like it's not needed, like because I wouldn't say it was needed. I would definitely say it was necessary, but it's not a need because I definitely feel like even when I went into film school, I was like, well, I know how to shot list, I know how to mood board, like I know how to do all that stuff. But like again, like once I got to a certain point, it was like they were teaching me things. I was like, all right, YouTube didn't teach me this, so like it's time for me to like start paying attention. And I would say like even if for those who are in film school, and like think it's a waste of time, like don't discount that because again, like I feel like
That season's important.
something, right? Like you said, like every step will kind of teach you something, and it's like I feel like when two of them will come together to kind of like eventually and just like be the breeding ground for your journey.
Yeah, it a little bit reminds me of like, you watch basketball at all?
Basketball sometimes.
Yeah, so like there's obviously the thing with like you can either play 1 year in college and then go straight to the NBA, or you could play 4 years and then go. And a lot of people do that like one and done. They finish their 1 year, they pop off, and then they go to the NBA. And I won't say all the time, but there's a lot of times where those players are like undeveloped in the NBA and they're not actually ready, versus someone that spends the 4 years at school playing in a system. Even though they could have learned on their own, they could have made the jump, it's like that time just seasoning just gets them even more ready for the next level. So I would say to anyone that's thinking about film school or in film school right now, this is your seasoning moment. You're going to come out of it more of a vet, like ready to go, than someone that just jumps right into it. Like it's all about experience, and film school is part of experience.
And like you said, like you said earlier, like they give you a lot of resources that, like, unfortunately, like the real world won't give you, because there aren't like a lot of programs who will let you use like a Arri Alexa, or like even like a lot of the big boy cameras that like your film school has. That so it's like, even if you're like, you want the experience, like I would say, like even go to film school, get a chance to test those big boy equipment, make those connections and stuff like that, so that when you do graduate eventually, like you kind of, like you said, it's already set to go. You're ready, you're seasoned, and like you pretty much walking on set, not cocky, but you're walking on set like with already some type of foundation to as someone who like just jumped in and stuff like that. And we can't talk about like a lot of the most creative stuff without talking about like the negative stuff that come with filmmaking and creativity, which is like burnout. So like my question for you is, like, as someone who is doing commercials, live recordings, balancing family, like how do you navigate like burnout? Like how do you keep that rhythm between family, ministry, and like your production agency?
Man, yeah, that's tough. It's like we said earlier. There's like the balance of you got to pay bills, you got to make ends meet, things like that. I think the thing that helps me manage, because I definitely go through seasons of like being super high and feeling great on everything and being very creative, and everything's kind of rolling. And then there's moments of like the complete opposite. Like I can't feel like I can get any ideas off the ground, feel overwhelmed, feel just like kind of like nothing's happening. I think the balance and what helps manage that is trying to make sure that you're not doing too much. It sounds so simple, but it's very easy to get in a flow of just taking on project after project and doing thing after thing, traveling all over the place, which I've done plenty of. But it's so important to take that time to spend time with your loved ones, do things that you enjoy doing. Like I will go and just play basketball for a couple hours just to get my mind off of video editing, color grading, whatever it is. And also learn to delegate. That's like my thing this year especially, is I reached a point already. It's what, February 6th. I reached a point in January where I was absolutely overwhelmed, and some would have called it burnout, but I actually don't really like to use the term burnout, because I don't think there really is burnout. I think there's just doing too much. And people will try and justify it by being like, well, I've just like used all my creative juices. And it's like, no, like you definitely have more creativity to offer, but you've done too much. Like you're taking on too many things, and you need to delegate. We like to control. Creatives love to control every aspect of everything. That's the whole point of kind of like being a director, is because you think you want to control everything, but really the true point is being able to delegate and assign responsibility to things and still lead it without having to do everything yourself. So my whole point this year is just to pass things off. So like you saw with the recent Selah project, I didn't edit that. I just colored it. I didn't light it myself. I didn't even shoot it myself. I had a camera operator. So there's just a lot of things where you learn to just let other people in. And as much as it feels like you're letting go of control, you're actually expanding your capabilities. Because had I had to edit that Selah video in 2 days, it would not have been that.
Yeah.
Something much more within the realms of what I'm capable of. But by passing it off to somebody much more capable and just able to bring something to life than me, I was still able to give my vision to him and allow him to do even more than that sounds like a message in itself. Like when you give stuff to God, he can do way more than what you thought he could. Yeah, just learn to delegate, push things off to other people, and expand just expand your cup. Like you're gonna have more room, and when your cup is filled to the brim, that's when you start to feel burnt out, because it's overwhelming.
Yeah, and it's even on that topic of with like delegation and stuff like that. Like you said, like creative, like they like to have control, right? Like they like to feel like, all right, like especially if this is my vision, like, all right, I need to have my like I need to be driving the wheel, and I feel like even for you, like my question for you, even on that topic of like delegation and stuff like that, like did you know who exactly you wanted to delegate to? Did it come with time? Like who I can trust to do certain delegations? Because I feel like not like even for those who are like all right like I can just delegate and stuff like that, but like you don't of course you don't want to delegate to just anybody.
Yeah, you got the right person.
Did you know for off rip like all right this is the person that I want to edit, or like did it come like or did you kind of have to like maneuver through that? Because like of course like you've done a bunch of campaigns, you've done a bunch of um live recordings and all that, like but did it come like with you and having a team, did it come with like time built that momentum together?
Yeah, I mean, it's a continuously evolving process. I don't have like an actual set team on anything. I have like a roster of individuals that is constantly growing and being added to. I think currently it's at like 80 something people.
Oh wow.
But they're all just references with different positions, different things that they excel in, and I'm able to look at that list, see who's in what cities, see who's available, and then choose from there. And then obviously there's some people that aren't even on the list that are just good friends of mine. So Wyeth is one of those where we've just been connecting. I think we connected over Instagram or something like that. He's in the area. We've been meaning to get together and just do work together. And when the opportunity arose, I passed it off to him. It was actually supposed to go to someone else. We weren't able to get it done because they had a lot on their plate. And Wyeth was available. He took it on and he did a great job. So I think for me, it's a continuous process of meeting people, assessing their work, getting to know them, and just see like, are we a good vibe?
Yeah.
Well, do I think we'll work well together? And then doing it. The one thing that I probably rotate around the most is BTS, because I think that that's a great opportunity for someone to get a little bit of set experience and see how things are done. And then obviously it's super important to me to have like quality behind the scenes footage to be able to tell the story of what happened on the day. But it's a little bit of more flexible position where it's like, it doesn't need to be a Hollywood DP doing the BTS. You can kind of just bring on anyone that I might not know or trust, and it'll be okay as long as they can point a camera at what's happening. But that's a chance for people to just get an experience. But that's also a chance for me to work through with a bunch of people and see, wow, I really liked how this person worked and I liked how their video came out, or, things like that. And then again, doing things in different cities is again another opportunity to work with different people, different crews. When I'm in LA versus New York versus Atlanta, I'm usually working with different people just because of where we're at. And I can't say I've really had like a bad experience working with anybody, to be honest with you, but
yeah, that's good.
it is a chance to be like, oh, well, okay, I like this person as a audio op and I really want them on all my projects. And so right now I wouldn't say I have like a team that I'm 100% sure I would always hire everybody on this team. But there's definitely certain positions and people where I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, you might be locked in as the person I use for this specific role. As long as you're available, you're going to be my first option. So I would say for anyone listening that, or for yourself also, if you're just like trying to figure out who's my crew, who's my whatever, just get to know people. It doesn't have to even be work. Go get coffee with friends and just and yeah, you'll start to realize like who are those people that I want to work with.
Nah, yeah, that's good because it's funny too. Because like you actually, two people that I'm really close with, shout out to Nathaniel and Riz, actually did BTS for you, and like they always spoke about like how like they was like, yo, like I didn't know what I was doing, like, but like also it's like that self doubt kind of creeped in, or it's like oh like he knows what he's doing, like he's doing all the things, but like even like when I was like saw that, I was like, oh you and him, like, oh, how's it going, like like
They both crushed it, like.
And they were like, even when they were like, oh, I felt like I had to, like, the shots were great. Like, even, like, how when you posted it, I was like, what do you mean, like, the shots wasn't great? Like, look, he used it. Like, it's great. And, like, even, like, kind of cheering them on that. It was, like, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
like, one, like, looking out from looking in, like, even with people that I know working with you, like, they spoke very highly of you. And, like, even, like, the pleasantry of set, right? Because I feel like a lot of times film sets have this negative connotation where it's like, yo, they're not gonna care how you feel. Like they're really gonna be some cutthroat people. Like they're gonna look at you, they're gonna spit on you, like kind of vibe. But it's like no, like
Yeah.
literally, like, and I feel like even this conversation, like my goal is the hope is that like people realize that not all film sets are like toxic. That they're actually like pleasant and like like you said, like when you have a good team, when you have good people that you're working with, like it's great. And like you said, like you have a roster of people you're rotating and like even doing something as simple as like BTS, right? Like somebody would be like, oh, like I'm doing BTS, I want to do camera op, but like even like you said, like how someone is doing that, going back to our conversation earlier, like someone's doing that well could be like, all right, like oh, I'm seeing like how you manage this little BTS to now I can like trust you with doing something bigger. So like
Yeah, and to that point, that that BTS, and it's something that I really take seriously. Like I always try to have a meeting with the person beforehand and kind of direct what type of shots I'm looking for, how I want it shot. And sometimes I'll even give them a camera because I want to control it that much. Like I'm like, I want it to look this way, use this camera, use these settings, because while it may seem insignificant to when you're comparing it to like, oh, I'm doing BTS versus he's doing the main film, I see the BTS as a film. Like I want it to look as crazy and insane as the main piece because in its own way, BTS footage is a commercial. Like it's just
yeah,
like I'm making a commercial for a brand, you are actually directing a commercial for me because I'm trying to showcase people the behind the scenes, how we made something happen, and that's super valuable. So BTS is very, very important for me. And I kind of shifted my mindset on it because I used to be the guy that got asked to do BTS all the time. And I did used to feel that way. Like being completely honest, I used to be like, man, like BTS, like come on, bro. Like I want to do
yeah,
like
right. You gotta do the camera op stuff, right? Yeah.
let me cam up, like let me do something bigger. And the thing is, cam upping may seem like the bigger thing, but if you do an incredible job with what you're given, you're gonna get noticed. Like if I have someone shoot BTS and their shots are looking better than mine and they're telling a better story than I was on the main commercial, I'm looking at them like, okay, well next time I guess you got a DP or cam up or something on this commercial because I need that level of detail and expertise. So I would say like again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. Steward what you're given with your all. Just do it with excellence. Like it, whatever it is. If you're doing photography, stills on set, or maybe you're just a PA, do your job to excellence. But obviously, also, and this goes to like a point with like Nathaniel, for example. I also want to know what your aspirations are. Like talk to me. Like let me know like what you want to do really, because we've worked with like gaffers, grips, first ACs that will do that thing, but will let me know like, hey, my ultimate goal isn't to be a grip or a genie or whatever. I want to do this. I want to direct, or I want to produce, or I want to DP, and it's my goal then to help you get there. Like I'm not just gonna keep you stuck doing BTS stuff forever. I'm gonna one give you advice on like, hey, do this, this, and this so that you can start doing your own stuff. Or if you need me to come step into a role on your set that you're doing, I'll come do it. Like if you ask me right now, like, hey, Maurice, I need you up in New York for like BTS at this live recording I'm doing. Sure. Like it,
Tell me that. No, okay.
yeah, I mean, let me know. Like, look, I'll come through. Like, I'm not above doing other things just because now I'm doing this one thing. So yeah, I love to know what people aspire to do and aspire to be, and kind of see if I can connect you. It might not even be on set with me. It might just be I got hit up for something and I'm not gonna take it on. Yo, I know you want to direct. Do you want to take on this client? It's just things like that. So yeah, I think communication is huge and just getting to know people's goals and then helping them get there.
Beautiful that you say that because like even like my wife, like who I serve on our media team with, when she's like the director, like her big thing, especially with like our church, like we're like shout out to my apostle. He lead like we have a lot of creatives at our church. Like we have like filmmakers, makeup artists, models,
Yeah,
fashion designers, all that. Like literally, like we have Soho in our church because that's how many like creative people are at our church. Like
that's
and
dope.
they're dope. Like there's not like people who are starting out. Like these are like very seasoned vets in their field. And like one of the things that my wife always says is like I never want to put you guys, like she always tells us to the our team is like I never want to put you guys somewhere where I feel like you don't want to be in, right? Because I'd rather have you excel at somewhere where I know you want to be in versus like somewhere like you don't want to be in, right? Because like if I know you want to direct, like I'm gonna put you to direct more. Like I'm if you don't like doing camera op, I'm not gonna throw you a camera op and then you giving us terrible shots and stuff like that. Like I'd rather have you excel and like she's very big on like goals and like knowing where people are at, like what people want to do and stuff like that. And she's very like she caring when it comes to that because like she really wants to like pour into people like really
Yeah.
want to do. So like even with that like cause like I just like all of this like I'm like the conversation is like so good like I don't want it to end. But even with that like what is one thing like you that you want to leave for the people and stuff like that? Cause when it comes to like creativity and filmmaking and just like one gem that you want to impart to the folks.
And I feel like I always end up saying the same thing, but I'm gonna say it again because I just watched a video this morning that YouTube suggested, and it was saying the same thing. Just start. I hear so many people that have these aspirations to do a certain thing, or like I want to do this one day, I want to do this one day, and it's always like an aspiration. And my piece of advice is take that aspiration and just do something to start working towards that goal. Like if you don't, you're always going to be stuck on, oh, well, I need this camera, or I need to do this first. I need to get this job. I need to get on set first. My biggest piece of advice is just start with what you have and do something. So if your goal, you're like, I want to make films one day, like I want to make short films, or I want to make a feature film, go start. Go make a little mini short, make a mini film, and just try. And don't be afraid. I think we're all afraid of like failing and not doing a good job, but that's okay. Like I said earlier, I started out trash when it came to video and photo and all that stuff. And and in ways like I probably am. I'm not saying like I'm like at the top now. I'm still learning, still growing. But it took me being trash in those times to learn and grow and get to where I am now. So just start, stop making excuses. Don't say you don't got a camera. Your phone, if you have an iPhone, it's $1,000 camera already. Use that. Like go watch YouTube. Don't say you can't learn. There's plenty of references, people, channels. Shoot me a DM if you got questions. Like there is no excuse for not starting other than you being afraid to fail. So that's my last piece of advice.
And that's good. And like definitely for those who are interested in following more research on everything YouTube, Instagram, stuff like that, I will definitely have his stuff down below in the description so that you guys can follow him on his journey. But that wasn't my last question. Haha, tricked you. What is one like? Because we're gonna make sure that we get you this. Like, what is one company or creative that you want to collab with? Like, who is like I need to collab with this person. I need to I need to get a connection with this person so that I could really create something fire with. Cause hello, like Danny Gavertz, the man
Yeah.
that you got noticed. So we're gonna make it work. We're gonna get you out
Yeah.
there. So who is a creative that or a company that you want to work with?
I think so. My earlier, I would have said Nike. That was like,
Mm.
I mean, maybe it still is. Like, I would love to do something with Nike, do a piece with Nike. But I will say, I think I would love to do something with Wyden Kennedy, the agency that does all of Nike's like iconic commercials and stuff. And then obviously they have other clients, but Wyden and Kennedy, they're based in, well, I think they're based everywhere, but um, they do incredible stuff, great agency, and that's like one that I would love to just eventually be able to do something, direct something, DP something with them, just make something really cool.
Make that happen because this guy here is super talented and
Wait, I need to know yours. What's yours?
yeah. Listen, like for me, all right. So I always okay. This is actually a tough one. That you told me this. All right, so I would love to create a short film with dad. What's his name? Okay, I hope I'm not butchering his name. Joshua Kesey. He did a lot of like he did a short film with this actor. He's like a photographer, but he's worked with this agency that they do a lot of short films and stuff like that. I really like his work.
Huh.
Who else?
I'm gonna have to check him out.
He's good. I'm definitely gonna send you stuff offline. But who? That's just tough. Definitely. Damn, this is actually really tough.
It's a hard question.
It's hard. So I'll break it. Like a company I would want to work with for sure is like New Balance, Asics, stuff like that. Like I love how they kind of transition from like this running brand to now like this lifestyle brand. So I would love to work with them. Um, I would love to work with Sony. Sony, if you hear this, let me know. Help me out here. And then as like a couple like YouTubers, I would like. I really love Eric Floberg, Danny Gavers. Like I love their storytelling, very indie filmmaking style. I would definitely love to work with them, and like yeah, I would say that's pretty like a musical artist. My main goal, because also too, I think it's like to like I'm really big on like storytelling and stuff like that. So like yeah, like that. I just would love to work with those brands.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I feel the same way where I'm like, there's definitely a lot of people and companies that I would like to work with in general. But like, yeah, dream wise, yeah, it's like Wyden Kennedy, Nike, like just those major brands.
They're gonna get there, man, because like even like when I saw like the when you had posted, he was like oh, like Danny Gavers like commented on it, like he's a very like, and even with that like my goal and my prayer like even with that getting noticed by people like who like I wouldn't say like he's like the it person, but like even like someone who has a huge following and stuff like that. Like my prayer is that like even like them being able to touch eyes like him, like is able to even touch eyes like Nike and stuff like that. Because I feel like even like the quality and the content that you produce, you would have thought like 20 people was on set. Like you would have thought like a lot of folks was on set. Like you had like 50, 100 people on set. But like even like when you see your breakdowns and you see like what you could do with a little, I can only imagine what you could do with a higher budget. So my prayer is like
Yeah, that's a huge prayer right there.
grow as you continue to like keep God at the center of like everything that you do. Like those doors will open because I feel like you are definitely going places, man. So
Thank you, man.
definitely got my prayers that like as these doors are opening and stuff like that, that everything is being covered, like you're good and like the doors are open, because this is just the beginning, man. This is just
Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. That's so kind.
like but like I definitely feel that because even as been watching stuff like you even inspired me, like whereas like I don't even look at like stuff like Peter McKenna anymore. Like I always go to like your stuff and be like, all right, like what is he doing? Like a little bit, like you know what I'm saying? Like
That's
not to say
actually
it like
great.
that. Like I'm like oh, man, God, I'm not crapping on you. What's up? But like even it just like makes me because it's like of course like content like that is so very polished. Like you just see like the brand deals like all right, this video is sponsored by X Y and Z, and but like also like
Yeah.
seeing your stuff and seeing what you could do with a little bit like Shepherd just a little bit like it's only like I'm like I want to see how he does this. So I like when I do my own stuff, how can I do it with that? Like what can
Yeah,
I?
I think it is like it's a level down from like it's not the super polished, super professional. It's like we're basically just making indie stuff with micro budgets and making it work. So it is a little more relatable than like someone that is making hundreds of thousands and whatnot, just getting free gear sent to them and whatnot. But we work on.
Yeah,
I'm trying
hello.
to get you to start sending me some stuff.
Yeah, hello.
So
Black Magic. Y'all know the
yeah.
deal. Send the man of God some equipment. Nike.
Quick story on that. I actually did reach out to them
Wow.
about maybe 6 months ago or like maybe almost a year ago, right before I started making a bunch of commercials. Because I was like, hey, I'm doing this live recording in October. I'm doing this in November. I'm doing this in December. And I hit them up like, hey, I don't know if y'all do like PR stuff or whatever. And I don't have a huge following at all, but I would love to represent y'all and only use you exclusively on all my sets, blah, blah, blah. They said no. So
I'm like, yo, I'm
still,
thinking like, the way you like had that set up was like yeah, actually Black Magic, they got me set up for like thing. I'm thinking go take the sweater off Black Magic. He said no. They said no. They said
I'm taking my talents to no. They said no. But you never know what doors are gonna open.
listen, right? Like, and I think even with that, I like that's a little steep. And like a no is not necessarily like my motto now, and like my wife she'll always impart this is like a no is not like a closed door. It's just like God's covering over us, right? Because like maybe right now,
Yeah.
it wasn't the best time for Black Magic to like send you the cameras and stuff like that, because you could, not saying that this would happen, but you could have got big head like, oh, look at me, I'm Black Magic sponsored, like, no, ain't nobody can touch me.
Exactly.
But like once you like, but that doesn't mean like 5 months from now, or like even if a say like campaign that you do really pop off, like that they won't be like, oh, bet, like I'm gonna sell you Black Magic 7K Pro and all this stuff. So I think like even for those who are listening and watching, like I know it's not a setback. I know it's just a covering from God. So I definitely heed onto that, bro. Bro, thank you so much for this. Like, thank you so much for even sitting down with me, having this talk with me. Like, and definitely my prayer is that this does not stop. This conversation does not stop. But I definitely thank you and appreciate you for this. And
no, thank you again for having me. This was really fun, man. It was great getting to know you a little bit and obviously just like chat about such like this. I'm so passionate about this stuff. I could talk about it for forever. So yeah, this is great.